camera scenario here. So Cancer, I should just go through my usual bit here. As far as the reading itself, take it as it resonates, may or may not speak to you. If it does not, then try back with another reading that I do for you. But currently what I'm looking at is, sorry guys, a little bit of an outage issue there. I'm actually there's a lot of rain and thunder out here, so it seems like it's subsided here for the minute. But if there is an issue and you can't hear me, I apologize. So what we're going to start out with is, again, it's just a general read. This will be for the month of May to June for Cancer. And what I'm looking at is just the general energy. So I'm asking about things around, your love life, your finances, sort of what you're currently thinking about, emotional state, that kind of thing. So I have pulled some cards off to the side here. I also have some intention cards here, or some alignment cards with the Astral Realms, Crystal Oracle from my sweet son, love him to death. And this is cards from him. So I'm also going to include that with the read as well. So we're going to get right in there and just start out with the first card. So I'm going to just say right off the bat, we are looking at some very positive cards. So just from the initial onset, I mean, the cards of, came up as the 10 of Cups, obviously. So, and I should mention, as I do the reading, I do the main cards out, give you sort of a sense of what's coming in a general way, and then we'll flesh it out with the clarifying cards following that. So right now we are looking at the things that involve your happiness. So you are looking at something here in terms of, how to make yourself happy, or what it is that makes you happy. You're trying to either ascertain what that is, but we'll clarify as we go through. The next cards that were out, and of course I do have clarifiers at the bottom, but we'll go through that in a minute. We also have the Death card. This is not meaning death, literal death at all. All it means is that there's a big transition that you're going through, and it's a change. So basically it is, in a sense, it's death of the old self. So there's something new coming in for you because you are working on the 10 of Cups. So there is something very significant here that has to do with your happiness that you are just about to move into. So right now you're going through a huge transition. We also have the card of the 8 of Cups. So this is also an indicator that there's something here that you're trying to leave, aspects of self behind that have not been, advantageous to you. So again, that could be in around things of negative self-talk or anything that pulls you down. If you're not your own best friend and building yourself up, the rest of the world is there to tear you down. So you better be on your own side. Right? That's all I'm going to say. And then we also have the cards of the Sun, happiest card in the deck. So there is clearly something very significant coming in here for you. Could also indicate children is dealing with younger person, anything like that. But for the most part, this card is kind of to me, it's set apart from all the rest because it does indicate, especially with the 10 of Cups, and especially with the Sun card, there's some very good things coming in for you in the months from May to June. So it's not just May, it's actually May covering June as well. We also have the Six of Pentacles. So I feel like you're getting a lot more help or assistance in this month. There is the bottom of the deck cards as well, which were the Temperance, and then we also had the Moon. We also had the Ace of Wands, but I'm keeping that separate because that's more correlated to sort of love life elements. So we're just going to dive right in, and I won't pull the other cards through here first. We'll just start with what we've got. So starting off with the 10 of Cups. Now, I would say that obviously this is a situation where, again, you're trying to sort of summarize what it is that makes you happy. So I feel like something here is talking about, at the core of things, overall, I would say that this does suggest your soul is in some kind of a transition. And I feel like you're going through some kind of powerful shift. You're going from one phase of an identity into another. And that's why we have this card out here. So it's like you're between the old and the new. That's why we've got the 8 of Cups between the old and the new. So this is about stability and growth, and there's tension in that space because you've got old emotional patterns weighing on you. And then there's this other mature energy that's coming out. And in terms of, normally the Wheel of Fortune card can also indicate that big transition. But so as can the death here, but the death card, but I mean, what it really is indicating is that you're going through some kind of process of individuation. This is where you are moving through, all the areas of self, because we've got we've got you also into the level of the sun. That is Leo energy here as well, and that is also an emerging identity. So there's something there that's coming through that kind of speaks to dealing with levels of the ego. So there is an emerging identity or confidence, something about the self that's coming forward. Now, the death card is also that card of Scorpio energy. So you could be dealing with a Scorpio. That was one of the major cards that came out. So your major arcana that you're dealing with really is the sun and the death card. So that's why I say you're between some significant energy here in terms of emerging self. Now, we also had the moon card that was out here. I'm not going to go through all of them there, but pulling it forward, but you'll see it here in a moment. But the moon card also came out, and that's Pisces or water energy. But it's also an indicator that there's some kind of emotional uncertainty that you're going through, because it's a spiritual initiation, basically. Now, we also had the Justice card come out there. We also had the Temperance card come out there. So, all of these kind of lead to that energy of spiritual patience, and things are kind of metamorphosizing. They're synthesizing together. So, there's also that Earth energy here, the Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, with the we have a Knight of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, but that's very grounded energy. So that's financial. Hi, Louisa. That's very grounded, financial, practical. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But it's very grounded, practical, restructuring kind of energy. So, like I said, there's a lot of all of the signs that are here. But hi, Max. But what I would say here is that, the King of Cups, that Eight of Cups energy, like there's just so much here that's you're leaving behind the familiar, and you're really getting ready to move into something that's more of an emotionally mature space. So again, when we start out with the very first card as the Ten of Cups, that is the ultimate. That tells me that this is where you're quietly reevaluating, what your internal narrative is, around family, around emotional fulfillment and commitment. And there's both that sense of, longing, as well as some kind of confusion around some of these things. But because that death card is out there, oh, thanks, Max. I appreciate that. But because that death card is out here, it does indicate that, it's like it's marking a time of transformation, as I mentioned, but it's also indicating that letting go of past identities or expectations around whatever that is. So again, this can be inherited from, family or past relationships, but either way, it's kind of slow, steady movement toward a more grounded and purposeful life. And there's nothing wrong with, the pace, so long as it's something that is, progressing. So the whole point is progress, not perfection. We all come with, I mean, the whole point of being here on earth basically is to progress. We will all come down with, the same levels of issues around finances, and we'll always have struggles around love or self-identification and all of those things. It's just different, different context in terms of, you may have less money or you may have more money, but ultimately the point is we're still all going through those same transitions. So when we're looking at the death card, you're kind of stepping away from emotional blocks. I feel like there's fear of loss, there's fear of not living up to ideals, there's stepping away from that emotionally familiar but no longer fulfilling kind of self-talk. So I feel like you're encouraging an awareness within yourself. You're starting to realize everything is not all or nothing thinking. This is really that space of, I'm not perfect. If I don't make the right choice, it's okay to fail, because now you're in that space of trying to reframe things so that it makes space for growth versus, negativity. So, like I said, I'm going to say probably sometime June to July is really where you start to see more of that significant um, emerging sense of self being strengthened, because the sun is where, this is where you have to face those internal shadows. But it's also a powerful rebirth period. And of course, the sun is also denoting that time frame. So I would still say that, the growth here is around also trying to balance out the finances because we're in that space as well. It's also balancing out giving and receiving and trying to make things more equal in your life is really what I would say there. I do feel like, because of the strong cards here, the Emperor, and again, some of the other ones with the King of Cups and Knight of Pentacles, all of that, I feel like there's a real strong emotional intelligence here. So it's like you're either a caretaker or a peacemaker, but for whatever that was, that space that you've been in, I feel like the energy around you now has more to do with you getting into a space of prioritizing self alignment. And of course, we did have the card of alignment, one of the first ones that came out here with the other deck of Astral Realms. So, again, I'll go through those here in a minute, but all of that kind of speaks to the same thing and they're all reinforcing one another. So, what I would say is, anchor yourself in a resourceful state. Use moments when you know you've overcome adversity in the past and sort of visualize your future success tied to that present effort. So, what was your thinking that was strongest, not in a negative context, but what was the strongest mindset that you had when you were most confident, and sort of take that as a springboard toward whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, there's also that sense of kind of tapping into the love life aspects here too. And again, I'll go through a little more on the finances, but with the Three of Wands, as far as love life, now this is something here that's kind of emotionally charged because it's not just the Three of Wands, it's the Three of Wands, it's the Eight of Wands, it's the Seven of Wands, and the Seven of Cups. Now we've got two sevens here, plus we have the Ace of Wands. There's a lot of something new coming in toward probably the latter part, maybe of July, but I feel like there's a lot of either options or confusion. You're in a really good space, and it seems something is coming in really quick, or there's a certain level of anxiousness to make something happen. But what I would say here is it's like emotionally you're on the verge of something passionate and new, and you're still navigating through the confusion. And I feel like you have a certain level of emotional defensiveness that's still at hand with that Seven of Wands. So you feel flooded with possibilities right now. Again, with the Eight of Wands as well as the Seven of Cups. But you're just not sure who to trust your heart with. So there's something around that. Now, we also have, as far as the person that you might meet, I'm going to go into the other cards here. The person that I feel that you might meet sort of showed up as the Three of Pentacles. So this one tells me that this is someone who's very practical. They like stability. They're emotional. They emotionally resonate with you in some way, especially with the Two of Cups showing up here. And I feel like you can really build on things with this person. Like there's something that there's a strong commonality. Um, but with that Three of Pentacles, but I feel because we have the Four of Swords here, I mean, this also indicates there could be, something in terms of timing being a little bit into June or July where it holds more potential for love or an emotional resolution. But there's also, again, the cards of Temperance. So again, this is just for those of you that are not in a relationship at this time. But the Temperance card does indicate that, it's still with the Three of Wands, and the Temperance could be just a little further out, but I still feel like it's almost like you still have to kind of work through some issues there in terms of the Moon and the Seven of Cups, because to me, this is about it suggests that the clarity will come through your intuition, so that it's no pressure. Because I think if you were pressured into a situation, it might push you away. Maybe you may not be ready for it. So there's something here as far as, reflecting on your identity, your inner story, and replacing that fear-based narrative with value-based ones. What do you value? What do you value in someone else? What would you want someone to notice about you? Things like that. So those are the things that are within your control. And if they don't line up with your belief systems and your values, then it may not be something that you want to think of in terms of the long term. But I feel like your emotional blocks for this period, from May to June especially, is that you fear change, you fear not measuring up. You may struggle with the pressure to kind of arrive, emotionally in some way. and spiritually all at once. I feel like your defense mechanisms could be at play here because, again, we've got the moon. There's a little bit of a holding back kind of energy, but you're being asked to keep things in a balanced way. And especially with the Four of Swords. So it's almost like you're withholding at times, due to past disappointments, that kind of thing. And maybe you feel like there is some kind of sense of imposter syndrome. I say that meaning because there's our King of Pentacles, but very grounded energy still. But there's still so much going on in your head that it feels like you're having to sort of juggle through it. So, like I said, I feel like you're defensive, you're withholding, and again, that's due to some past situations. But there's also that sense of feeling like, your dreams or your doubts or whatever you feel, undeserving or something like that could be coming up at this time, especially if someone is in the mix or coming forward and it all of a sudden brings all of these things, triggers to the forefront. So there's something here about, kind of practicing, you know, uh, self awareness, but it's also about, whatever is making you uncomfortable. Just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it equals danger. It's not, not all uncertainty means failure. There's certain things that you're not going to get about another person or the timing. You may not have all control over all elements, but it's also about, you show up as your best self, but you also are mindful of the things that you need from a connection. And there's nothing wrong with stepping back and trying to visualize, what it will feel or what it'll feel like, to have the things that you want. There's nothing wrong with wanting the things that you want. And if someone doesn't quite measure up to that, that's not against you or them. It's just the situation. And maybe you have to wait for the next one, whatever it is here. But I feel like you have to act in alignment with your values, not your fears. So either way, I feel like creating new mental associations with things that have, meaning to you, whether that's love or success or reward, you have to create new mental associations with those things and able to actually, you know, kind of emotionally move toward them. So now we did have the King of Cups that came in here. I'm just trying to, and the Emperor and the King of Pentacles as well. So what I would ultimately say there is you are someone that can commit, you're steady, and I feel like you will move things slowly ahead. I do feel like you're emotionally intelligent and very stable, and I feel like you have the capacity for internal discipline, and that just seems to be growing. So again, there's something here with a lot of hope and purpose, and you don't see it fully though, because again, you're still sitting in that energy of you're still sitting in that energy of Eight of Cups and Seven of Cups, and just a lot in the moon energy. So to me, that really speaks to you not feeling aligned. You don't fully see it. You don't feel that you're already being aligned, even though you are being aligned to this higher path. You're not really connecting to it yet because you've got some of your receptors turned very, low down. So I would say here that, you're ready to love again. You're ready to be loved and find balance and, move in soulful ways. So wherever you find, people that are healthy for you and, are willing to contribute to your journey, as much as you can contribute to theirs. That's, you don't want somebody who's going to subtract from you. You want them to be adding to you. So I feel like you're shedding those outdated dreams and related, illusions about something. Um, and I feel like the version of you that you're stepping into is sturdier. I feel like you're wiser. And I feel like it's a truer sense of who you are. So, again, that death card does indicate there is a new beginning here ahead for you. And again, it was followed up by the Knight of Pentacles. So, the journey for you is, of course, and it was also the Ace of Wands that showed up here too. So, that journey for you is really about, inviting you to trust your inner compass, like it's okay to act or wait, whatever you feel is important here, but it's wait without fear, act without fear. So when your heart finally speaks out to you more clearly, you're going to be able to move forward without a lot of hesitation. So, of course, pushing yourself out to a situation before you're really ready for it will kind of sabotage you, because you're not really ready to give of yourself, and you have to be in a space where you love yourself before you can love another person or have someone else love you. So if you love yourself enough, other people will also respect you, because that love of self is showing through. So, like I said, that's what I have for this particular read. But like I said, I feel like you're moving toward a really strong, solid journey here up ahead. So keep going, Cancer. Like I said, I just want to finish it up here with the final cards of alignment. So again, this one I don't read very often. It's just because I keep finding my cards and then I lose them in another bag or whatever it is, and on a shelf. So I'm going to read this one because I think it would bring more of merit that way instead of me trying to piecemeal it together. Okay, so what I see here with the card of alignment, this is actually the, sorry if I mispronounce it, Herkimer diamond. It's the Earth Star chakra. So it is the universal oneness, the attachment, the receiving, or attunement, the receiving. So what this one really speaks to is when all of your chakras are in alignment, you're in tune with your body, mind, and spirit. And that's another thing too. When you're not in line with your body, you're tuning out the body, so the body starts to tune you out. You have to be in tune with, and that can come through levels of meditation, activating each chakra, as you meditate, looking at the color of the chakra and seeing it in your mind's eye. These are all things that help to align the chakras. But either way, this particular one speaks about a bright white light that flows through your entire chakra. And I often do this too, like a white light coming down from the sun into um, through your head and flowing through down to the spine, all of those things. It just helps you to kind of ground, but it's also speaking to giving you an opportunity to go beyond your earthly self. So that you develop more of your intuitive self. And I believe everybody has intuition. It's just a matter of levels of development. The time that you spend focusing on it, obviously the more energetic response that you'll get. But either way, this one still speaks to the earth chakra, living outside your physical body in your auric field, and it's the home to your past lives and all your karmic cycles. It is a representation of your universal oneness, meaning it connects your earthly energy to the universal energy we all share. So when you activate your Earth Star chakra, you will gain a more grounded and reassured outlook, dispelling stagnant negative energies and reminding you of your importance in the universal web of energy. So the Herkimer diamonds are attunement stones that open and activate your third eye and crown chakras. So with this openness, energy flows freely down through to your Earth Star chakra. Herkimer, sorry, hi JC. uh, but Herkimer diamonds can heal your physical body of ailments, realigning your DNA and bodily energy to aid your ability to see your true self and look past your fears. So that's pretty important. Yeah. Okay. So now we're on to the next one here. So the next card is empathy. And of course, that's empathy for self, empathy for others, and it represents the rose quartz. So this one is about unconditional love, intuitive knowledge, mutual respect. Everything is energy, even your thoughts, your emotions, each one carrying a specific vibrational frequency, and being able to sense the frequencies of others' thoughts, to experience empathy. So when you're empathetic, you can understand another person's thoughts and emotions from their perspective, one that isn't your own. Empathy allows you to be more compassionate and to approach a situation proactively instead of reactively. It can foster a deeper understanding, mutual respect that may not have previously existed. Hello there, Bob. But to exercise more empathy, take some pointers from the planet Venus. Venus represents your values in life, who you value, what you value. When you can define your personal values, you can quickly begin to understand that no two will be the same. You have to acknowledge the fact that everyone is inherently different and will place their values in what makes sense from their personal experiences. So, beginning to accept these differences and making space for not only your intellectual and emotional feelings, but also those of others allows you to act empathetically. So rose quartz is a stone with properties that enhance and enable emotional healing, and it evokes compassion, universal love, and your ability to love unconditionally, to calm you in times of duress, heartbreak, and anxiety. So whenever you're stressed out or anxietied, just remember, stay in your true path of values and belief systems, and you can't go wrong. Because even if somebody else says, you know, well, you're wrong and you're this and you're that, it makes no difference, because if you're aligned with your own values, with your value system, that will align you to realize that it has to be something that you can walk the walk or walk the talk, however you want to phrase that, um, when you know that you're doing something in your own truth. If somebody else is trying to mold or manipulate you or change the dynamic to in their favor, I mean, obviously this is something that you'll have to either find a compromise or, choose you. So now we're into initiation, but don't lose a part of you, to your detriment, because sometimes when we dance around to please other people, sometimes that dance never stops. So that's why I say stay aligned with your values and what you believe. So initiation. So now we're into aragonite, fire element. So this is revelation. It's radiation. And it's asking you to kind of question the things around you. Are you spending too much time procrastinating or finding reasons to avoid something rather than reasons to succeed at it? Ask yourself why you're putting off or delaying becoming, who you were meant to be, and understand that this is your one and only life, and the time is now. Take some pointers from the element of fire. What does a flame symbolize? How do you turn a spark into a blaze that burns fiercely and brightly? The answer is you take action. Until you begin to make your first sparks and turn your intentions into a tangible manifestation, you will not get very far. So to begin your initiation, it would be prudent to face your past and your deep-seated fears, for which aragonite is the perfect crystal. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Aragonite is classified as a star cluster, meaning it radiates energy and vibrations outward through all of its points. It relieves stress, anger, emotional fatigue, while bringing patience when you need it the most during your new journey. However, it is not for the faint of heart, as it will raise to the surface everything that you're aiming to suppress. Let it. Aragonite will expose all your unresolved resentments and fears in your newfound healing and grounding process. Don't allow the fear in facing your shadows stop you from becoming what you're meant to be. Embrace it, confront it, grow through what you go through. So it's really accepting that it was a part of the path. Don't attach too much meaning to the emotional part of it. So if you're angry, it's okay to be angry or frustrated. All of those things are valid, but the point is don't let it stop you. Don't ruminate on it. Find a way to constructively redirect it, basically, is what the card is saying. So I might just pull one more card as far as advice from the other deck. So this one is the Archangel Power Tarot card. Okay, so Archangel Tower or Power Tarot card. What is the best advice for Cancer from May to June? What is the best advice? Best advice. I might pull 3 cards. Okay, sorry, one sec here. The Emperor. Stability and efficiency. Taking charge of a situation, ambitious plans. So it looks like you're making some kind of a decision. You're definitely in that space. 2 hearts dedicated to creating something wonderful. Kindred spirits. Don't give up on those you love. And the Wheel, a big shift is coming. So there's a new beginning, end of delays, a change in the direction that offers happiness. And below that, again, another card of change. So this is determination, self-control, career advancement, acknowledgement of success by others. And just so you know, below that was actually the 10 of Michael. Situation is ended. You are finally free. New opportunities for happiness will now follow. Put the past behind you. This is, again, you moving from May to June. So by the end of June, I suspect you're going to have gone through most of this energy here, because this is a 10. This is a final end. So that's what I have for you guys. Keep moving forward, and we'll see you in the next read.